afternoon.
I'm Jason, one of the instructors at Krav Maga Self-Defense. So you would have seen that earlier video. It's been making the rounds on social media. Unfortunately, the victim, Iryna Zarutska, died because of that incident. Uh, she was I believe, a Ukrainian refugee that got refugee status in the U.S., probably just on the way to work, and then the person of interest is Decarlos Brown, and I think has, with what was said in the news, has had a lot of history of, has had a lengthy history of mental health incidents. And looking at the what I've seen on the video as well is, yeah, probably has some sort of severe bipolar schizophrenia type condition. As you see in the end there, he's kind of talking to himself as well. But looking at this incident, though, there's a lot of topics here which would be good to look at. I think there's a big learning opportunity here with regard to this incident, and there's a lot of things we can talk about, and that and some principles that we spoke about before that I think we can re-emphasize, or we found a practical example to talk about um, those topics. So initially, what that CCTV footage shows, although not too bad, not too obvious, but you just see the Carlos Brown sitting on his seat. There's a little bit of that disturbed expression on his face. So that's one red flag, right? Okay, obviously, Iryna was not on the train yet, but if the Carlos has consistently been showing this disturbed, that's the best way I can describe this, sort of disturbed, out of place, something's not right expression on his face the whole time he's sitting there, then that should be a red flag for you, for everyone that's commuting on the public transport network. So like, I used to train a lot too, and in that situation. So we do we do kind of have to, even just a little bit, have to judge a book by its cover when we're out there, when we're talking about awareness, when we're talking about self-defense awareness. You see someone who's not, who the facial expression is not quite right, they seem a bit disturbed, unhinged, or not calm, or because it seems he's looking around, something sort of mentally disturbing him, that should be a red flag. And of course, we are judging by a cover because we don't know. We're traveling with strangers on the public network, so we don't know anyone. And then you look at the clothing too, right? You look at the clothing. If they look a little disheveled, a little yeah, a little disheveled, then you know it might be um, a little bit of a red flag too, because you just can't tell. And in the end, um, not that I want people to be judging people if people look poor or look rich, etc. It's not about that. It's just, it's your security. How layered do you want your self-defense to be? How serious are you going to take your self-defense, especially your self-awareness? So we're not going to put race into this, because the Carlos Brown seems to be an American of African descent, African ethnicity, and there's a lot of politics now going on with this sort of incident. We'll just look right into the self-defense aspect of things. But the behavior, right? You know how you'd, before we talked about behavioral and behavioral observation and suspicious activity recognition. Then the facial expression, maybe mumbling to themselves, that's one red flag. A bit disheveled, that's another red flag. So as soon as Iryna steps into that car, she has an opportunity to scan and choose a seat. I saw there was a lot of empty seats there.
Please stand clear. Doors are closing. Train is about to move.
All right, we'll look at this part now, where part of the CCTV. That's when Iryna walks. The doors open, walks into the train, and she sits right. She sits on the seat, the bench, right in front of Decarlos. So we can break this down. As she enters, she's got the hat on, heads down, on the phone, straight to an empty seat. If you scan the camera footage, there was a lot of empty seats, right? And like what we talked about already, you saw slightly how DeCarlos was behaving, expression on his face, a little bit disheveled on the clothing, large size male, I might add. The last place I'd want to be is sitting right in front of him. And as you've seen with the attack that he's done, that is arguably almost impossible to defend, or uh, almost impossible to defend and survive. Maybe almost impossible to survive might be more appropriate. Yeah, you can do some frames, some 360 to defend, but he's towering over you. It's probably elevated too, has some advantage of gravity, already has the advantage of mass, and then gravity. That downward stabbing motion that he's doing would have had tremendous force. And there's this big mass discrepancy, mass difference in mass between Iryna and DeCarlos. Like they said, it's yeah, it's just physics. It's just physics. So coming into the train, you can scan. As soon as you enter, you're already scanning, and it's all right. Don't feel pressure. Take your time. You're choosing a seat. They know people choose a seat, and most of the time, people don't ignore you. Oh, everyone's on their phones. So, what are you worried about? What pressure do you feel to take the seat right away? If you're just there, no one's behind you. It's not really. It didn't look like it was peak hour, so you can pause and stop and scan and look for a safe seat, right? Definitely, you don't want to sit in front of. We wouldn't have wanted Iryna to sit in front of DeCarlos. Maybe a notch above that in preference is to sit behind him. At least you have the visual. It's still dangerous, but in hindsight, if he knew he would try something, or there's a risk of him doing something, then you still don't want proximity to him. But if it's a situation where you don't know, you'd rather be at the behind them, not directly, maybe have a seat or two gap between, and you have a visual. You can constantly see what they're doing, or if they yeah, you give yourself some response distance to respond. Generally speaking, I believe one of the better seats, if if you will ultimately prioritize your security, self-defense, and awareness, is those parallel seats that face each other that's near the door. Like in Sydney trains, we have that. As soon as you enter the door, it's over to the side. Usually part of it is reserved for people with disability, or a lot of people with the prams would take that so they can park their pram in front of them. But if they're available and you really want to be in a position to be aware of the whole train, that's a good spot. Why? There are doors here that you will hear when someone opens them, because when they open the latch, you'll hear that click, and then the doors would open, and there's a bit of like a 1-2 second distance before they can 1-2 second gap before they can walk through. You're alert that someone's going to go through those doors. On the other side, there's stairs going to the upper deck and lower deck, right? So people who have to get to you will have to go down the stairs or go up the stairs. So, and looking left, and you're not trapped. You have all this space in front of you to get out of the chair and move, compared to being in those benches where you have to slide over to the side and before you can move down the tight aisle as well. So it's a little more restrictive, but that space, they keep that open because that's where people can park their bikes, prams with children, um, those big electric wheelchairs, they park there too. So there's that space. So if you're asking, what would be the best seat if you want to put high priority to your security and awareness, then those seats are what you want to use. Um, there's other positions too, like if you're with a loved one and you're the one who's in the position of being the protector, you want them by the window and you next to the aisle, because then you're like the shield. Anyone who needs to get to your loved one will have to go through you, and you're there as an extra shield from the aisle. But of course, it is still restrictive, it's trapped. There's a lot of, depending on the situation, there's a lot of things you can do. So, going back to that, uh, she could have chosen, the choice of seat would have been very crucial to this. Even though you don't know, no one can tell the future, there's no way for her to know that Decarlos would do that to her. But overall, how alert do you want to be while you're commuting, right? You want to have some sort of routine where there's good security and you're habitually practicing that. And things will go way smoother for you because it's all about just in case, just in case, just in case, just in case. And of course, with those seats as well, distance is your friend because then you can detect either side if trouble's coming your way. Um, I discourage having the sound. I'm forgetting what it's called. The sound canceling headphones while commuting, because then you're in your little world. You're oblivious to what's happening outside. If you hear a disturbance from the other car coming from that way, you can then move this way. And hesitation also, you gotta stop hesitating. You hear trouble that way, you go this way. Although the train is a tube, but at least, right, you can still adjust and have distance. And hopefully, as you keep maintain distance from the trouble, you stop at the next stop and you're able to get out, right? Which means overall as well, a good position on the train would be the middle, because from the middle, you can adjust. You have room to go to the front, room to go to the back, depending on where the trouble is. If you're already at the back and the trouble's near you, then you're kind of stuck. There's nowhere else to go. And same with the front on the other end. Now you have to also get to know your station platform setup. Most of the time, it's on either end where the stairs are to exit. But it's not too bad though, even though if you get out of the train, let's say it's a really dire incident where someone is like an active armed offender, and you're able to get out from the middle of the train, but out exits of the platforms would be on either end of the platform. There's still that, it's usually a double platform type of thing. And they'll only come from one direction, so you can adjust, you can still exit and still have space in between you, right? Ideally, moving to the other adjacent platform, so you're kind of out of sight already, and then you can go do your escape.
This stop is East West Boulevard Station. Please exit right. This stop is East West Boulevard Station. Please exit right.
So now we're on the this part where Decarlos has done the yeah, has, of course they won't show the video because it would be very quite graphic, but after attacking Iryna, he did walk up and down the train, still holding the knife with blood dripping down, and you can still see people. One of the prominent observations, of course, the blood dripping down. So he's causing a mess on the floor. You can see all those blood drops on the floor. But as he's walking to and fro, he's talking to himself. He's mumbling to himself. So, and the people there, of course, understandable. It's not like what we talked about with OODA loop before. There is a bit of a freeze on the people because it's not every day you see something like that on the train. So you can see them looking and looking for quite a while before deciding on doing something. Now, it's fair to think where they can go, you know what, maybe I'll just stay here and not do anything sudden, not make any sudden moves to aggravate this guy. And if I stay still and calm, he'll ignore me. Probably that's what others are thinking. But you see others kind of move a little bit. I personally would subtly really try to create distance as best I can, right? If you had heightened awareness and you would have seen him already walking and scanned what he's holding, you may have probably would have identified that he's holding a knife and there's blood dripping on the floor. And I would definitely, if you had a third party with you, whatever, like, get up, we are going to the other end of the train and getting as much distance as we can from this person. Where's that blood coming from? I don't know if it's his blood or someone else's blood, but holding a knife, a bloody knife, out of there, out of there. A lot of people took their time and understandable, there's shock factor there and they didn't know what to do. In the end, when the train stopped and the doors opened, you could hear the commotion, people were getting out. And probably other people discovered Iryna there, wounded and bleeding, and you could hear the expressions of people making as they exited the train. But yeah, so distance is your friend, especially in a transport, train or bus. It's a tube, right? So you can either go just front or back, front or back. If he was at the front, you go all the way to the back. Just keep creating distance between you and that person. So to summarize all this, number one, scanning, right? All part of awareness. Like, avoid being distracted by your phone. And of course, it's a long trip. You want to use your phone, but it doesn't mean you have to look at your phone continuously. You can pause, look around. Okay, everything seems all right. Check your phone again. Pause, look around, check. So have those frequent checks. So she walked in, face to the phone, chose the seat right in front of Decarlos. So of course, you come in. If you're in the middle of a video, pause it first, or in the middle of reading a message, close the phone first, put it in your pocket, etc. Come in, scan, choose a good seat. What seat would be tactically the best seat that will give me most awareness? We've described earlier those seats that are facing each other, parallel, near the door. You have a lot of space there. If you really choose to prioritize alertness and awareness on your trip, but then if you see all those seats and it's kind of safe anyway, then go ahead, take the seat. It's just a matter of scanning, identifying, is there a threat or a possible threat to me? Or I don't like being too close to this type of person because he's too big. And of course, analyzing the person too. Is there something not right with their facial expression or how they're looking at people, right? Behavioral observation and suspicious activity recognition, right? And appearance too. You'll definitely have to judge a book by its cover. A little disheveled and a bit of odd behavior, then this is your security, your self-defense. Like, you may think, oh, I might be mean, I'm judging this person, but what risk? Ultimately, it's up to you, right? It's up to you. But if you look at the self-defense context, what risks am I willing to take? What risks what will I mitigate? So ultimately, you're the judge. But if we're talking strictly self-defense, see someone like that, you do not sit next to them or in front of them, even worse. And so, yeah, scanning, identifying people to avoid or positions to avoid, choice of seat, where you want to position, tactical positioning, where you sit as you commute home or ride the train home. And of course, the environment will change because at every stop, more people come in or people come out from the stop. So your environment does change. It won't stay the same as soon as you come in and you've done the initial scan. It won't stay like that forever. So you may have seen, oh, this is not too bad. It's okay. I can take one of those bench seats. But then new people come in and there's someone that just brings red flags to you that sits behind you. You may feel the social pressure. Am I being rude by moving? But this is your safety, your self-defense. So, yeah, you don't know this person. Why should you kind of feel concerned about how they feel about your movements? This is your safety you're talking about. So feel free. Stand up, move, stop at certain points, stop by the door first to look like it's not obvious. If you want to do that you moved because they sat behind you. They sat behind you, and yeah, but you can move around or move to another car. You're out of visual range to them. That they don't know where you sit next, unless it's metro where you can see kind of through. But that's all right. You can just keep going and going to the other end, right? Another safe position you want to be in the train is about in the middle because there's just room to adjust. So just like what we were talking about, the environment changes. You have to also not be hesitant to adjust or move to get a better position. Someone's come in, compromised the safety of the. You chose a position that's relatively safe, but someone's come in and changed that. It made it less safe. So you can move into a position to a safer position again. So you've adjusted to your environment. So you don't hesitate to do that. So those are the points that we can pick up from this incident. Unfortunate that it is a homicide, there was loss of life, and of course also serious mental health condition related incident. So, which also adds to our discussion. You can never tell. You can never tell. To learn more KMG self-defense techniques, train with us at KravMaga selfdefense.com.au.